I think the biggest question that has to be asked about the current situation in our war against Iran is, why did we have to go in now?
I had the chance to speak with retired fighter pilot George Dom, a former Top Gun instructor and Blue Angels commander. He's helping us break down how the U.S. is repeating the Iraq War's biggest mistakes in Iran, from bypassing Congress to operating without a post-conflict plan.
My name is George Dom. I was a 26-year naval officer and naval aviator flying strike fighters. During my career, I had an opportunity to fly in the strikes against Libya. I was then a Top Gun instructor. After that, participated in Desert Storm, did combat missions in Kosovo. My final tour of duty was in the Pentagon, where we were preparing for Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. It's baffling to me that we didn't prepare. There doesn't appear to have been any sort of imminent threat. Most of their nuclear capability to refine uranium and develop nuclear missiles were suppressed. So why did we have to go in now, and why did we have to rush into it? There was no real planning in place. So if you don't have a strategy, you have just activity. And activity without strategy is how conflicts expand beyond what you intended. There are 3 steps to going to war. First, you define the objective. What are we trying to achieve? Second, we'll build and test options, and the military develops plans and assesses risk. And then the third step is to decide and then execute. Congress really has 2 jobs. First, clarify the objective and the risks. And second, decide if this war has the country's support. You see, war is not just a military action, it's a national commitment. Congress and the president must ensure the country is aligned behind them and the servicemen and women going into battle. In 2003, before Iraqi freedom, the administration exhausted diplomatic options, made the case publicly, went to Congress for authorization twice, and even went to the United Nations. These aren't technical details. They're what determine whether a conflict stays limited or grows into something much bigger. People may agree or disagree with that war, but the process was deliberate and visible. And this process can take months, and it's designed to surface risks before Americans are in harm's way. So if you skip a step, you move faster, but you risk bigger mistakes. What concerns me today is that it's not clear a full process was executed. And I think the American public deserve to have a clear, bona fide reason to go to war before their sons and daughters are put into harm's way. Without that, you lose the support of the country. And then based on the fact that there wasn't an imminent threat, why did we have to go now? The administration right now, the stated goals have ranged from degrading missile and naval capabilities to securing uranium to regime change, to unconditional surrender, to sparking an internal uprising. Those are very different objectives, and they require very different strategies. I think the biggest lesson that we learned from Iraq in 2003 during Operation Iraqi Freedom is that winning the first 30 days is not the same as winning the war. We dominated the opening phase in 2003, but we didn't have a realistic plan for what came next, and we paid a price for it with years and years there fighting in Iraq. And so that lesson applies directly today. You have to think beyond the shock and awe of the first strikes, and you have to look beyond it to how do you win the peace afterwards. What we saw indicates there was no real planning in place to evacuate staff from diplomatic facilities, nor did they prepare Americans living and traveling in the region until literally after the bombs started dropping, when airports were shut down. The point is, they planned targets for day one, but they didn't plan well for the likelihood of Iranian retaliation. The thinking was that the regime was going to capitulate before they had time to close the straits. Well, that's wishful thinking. We say hope is not a strategy. And when you consider the fact that there was really no imminent threat, then this is a war of choice. And I'm not sure that it makes sense right now.